We've been telling you about the problems for owners of the Ruger 1022 magazine for some time now. This is one of the most popular magazines in all of Canada. It goes with the Ruger 22 rifle. But the RCMP has decided in their wisdom that the magazine with one of the most popular rifles in Canada is now a prohibited device. Why? Because it can also fit into the Charger pistol. Now, you've heard the legal opinion from people like Solomon Friedman, from Ed Berlew, from Tony Bernardo of the Canadian Shooting Sports Association that say, no, the law clearly states that it is the magazine or the rifle that the magazine is designed for is what counts. Public Safety Minister Ralph Goodale is saying no. He's just written a letter in response to Conservative MP and House Leader Candice Bergen, who had written to him on this issue back in August. She joins us now from Manitoba. And Ms. Bergen, fill us in on what happened. What did you write to Ralph Goodale? What were you looking for when you wanted to get some clarity on an issue that's vitally important to thousands upon thousands of law-abiding Canadian gun owners?
Well, Brian, let me give you some context. When we were in government, we saw the same type of thing happen whereby bureaucrats in Ottawa would decide that something was illegal, or we saw CFOs in different provinces put brand new requirements on gun owners. And so we would have to, as a government, our Minister of Public Safety would step up and say, no, we're not going to allow that. We would change regulations. We actually then changed the law. You remember that we introduced and passed the Common Sense Firearms Licensing Act. Part of that act was to give Cabinet the ability to overrule bad decisions that were made in regards to firearms. That's a general way of describing it. So bottom line is the federal government has the ability, when decisions like this happen, without notice, without laws being changed through legislation, through the proper channels, where law-abiding Canadian gun owners are made into criminals with the stroke of a pen, the federal government has the ability to overturn that and certainly make the case for overturning it. I mean, we're not suggesting that the government overturn RCMP decisions, but when that RCMP decision is not defensible, when it's because there are people in Ottawa who don't understand how firearms users are using magazines like the 1022 Ruger, we think it's a good time for the government, and in this case, the Liberals, to stand up for Canadian firearms owners. So with that in mind, I sent a letter to Ralph Goodale. I asked him to use the authority that he has and to reverse the decision. And he wrote back basically defending the RCMP and saying no, he wouldn't do anything and that the decision would stand. So we're asking gun owners to make the case to keep standing up for their rights and to be contacting his office.
I want to read part of his letter in response to you. He writes, I have provided a copy of your correspondence to the Royal Canadian Mounted Police and have been advised that the 22 long rifle caliber magazines that are designed or manufactured for the 1022 platform rifles are also inherently designed or manufactured for 1022 platform handguns, such as the Ruger 22 Charger. Because 22 long rifle caliber 1022 platform magazines are designed or manufactured for use in a semi-automatic handgun, they are prohibited devices if they're capable of containing more than 10 cartridges. This is a rifle that has been in use for decades, almost 40 years. The law, as I read it, as you read it, as the experts I've talked to read it, say no, it is the magazine that it's designed for. Some of these guys, I'm sure, have magazines that are 30 years old that they bought when the rifle first came out. They may not even own a Charger, but now it's a prohibited device. They could face serious jail time if they don't alter it, which some lawyers advise against altering it, or get rid of a valuable piece of kit.
Well, and you mentioned you've had experts come on and talk about the specifics of this magazine, which I think is very important because certainly we're big believers in making sure the guns don't get into the hands of criminals and the guns aren't used for criminal purposes and that people who commit crimes with guns are held accountable. I'm a huge proponent of that. But this type of, with the stroke of a pen, changes to our law doesn't address any of that. People who are law-abiding gun owners have been using these magazines lawfully, not for criminal use, but out on their farms, many times actually target practice, shooting varmints on their land, or hunters who are actually out doing legitimate hunting for animals in Canada. Canadians still do a lot of hunting. This is the principle and the matter of government going after law-abiding Canadians, making them into criminals, as opposed to going after those who are really criminals. And again, listen, we definitely saw it happen when we were in government. We constantly
I
had to
fought
be.
your government. I fought your government on some of those and pushed for the changes that resulted in the Common Sense Firearms Act because nobody wants to take on the RCMP. Everyone supports police, but they do make bad decisions sometimes.
But make no mistake, Brian, and I've told gun owners this, and I will continue to tell them this. There is only one party and one group of members of parliament who support law-abiding gun owners, and those are Conservatives. Do we agree on every single issue? Maybe not, but I will tell you what we agree on, and that is that law-abiding Canadians who own firearms should not be treated as criminals. We ended the long gun registry. We brought in the Common Sense Firearm Licensing Act, which is common sense policy, and we'll continue to fight for them. But they need to let their voice be heard to these Liberal MPs. And in Atlantic Canada, for example, it was a Liberal sweep in Atlantic Canada. Those Liberal MPs need to be held down for sitting in the backbenches and saying nothing to stand up for their law-abiding constituents who own guns in Atlantic Canada. The same goes for northwestern Ontario. A lot of hunters and shooters out there. Southern Ontario, certainly here in Manitoba, we've got a strong voice. But my point is, we're calling on gun owners, don't sit back. Don't expect the Liberals to protect your rights. They didn't do it before, and I don't expect they'll do it now.
And Minister Goodale could bring this issue to cabinet if he wanted and have it overturned. But they have said clearly that they don't believe politicians should be able to overrule police, which I just find bizarre. Parliament is supposed to be the highest court in the land, the highest decision-making body in the land. And they say, no, give the decision to a bureaucrat off of St. Laurent Boulevard in Ottawa.
Any other time we make a law or change law, I think could be opportunity with somebody, an individual who is breaking that law, it has to go through a process. It's a bill that's introduced in the House of Commons. It's debated. There is the time for the government to defend that new law. It has to be voted on. It then goes to our Senate and then receives royal assent. None of those things happen when the bureaucrats just decide one day quietly to tick something off on a box and now declare something that has been legal for a very long time and used by hundreds of thousands of Canadians to make that illegal. It's wrong.
All right, Candace, thanks for the time today, and keep us up to date on how the fight continues to go when Parliament resumes.
I will. Thank you so much, Brian.
All right, and if you are interested in law-abiding gun owners' issues, of course, make sure you sign on to our petition, Hands Off Our Guns. That's handsoffourguns.ca. Hope you enjoyed what you just watched. If you did, make sure you never miss another Rebel video again. Click subscribe. Yeah, it's just right here. Click subscribe, and you will be a subscriber to our YouTube channel. Help spread the word. Now, you can also become a member at therebel.media and access premium content that's only available to members. We don't get the $1 billion like the other guys, so we rely on you for support. Go on over to therebel.media. Join now.